Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, cover the latest UKV, look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days as we have a stunning weekend ahead with temperatures widely into the mid to high teens, some sunshine especially in central and eastern areas, making it feel like proper spring, or you could even argue a bit of early summer feel out there at the moment. However, it is all going to flip as we do head into the new working week. We are going to see the winds reverse back to a northeasterly, and we are going to see some cold, if not very cold air flooding in from Scandinavia and the Arctic. Now, we've got very strong confidence in the next few days, the first few days of the of the new working week. We're going to see that cold air flood in. We're going to see wintry showers, widespread temperatures down towards the mid-single digits by day, towards freezing overnight. But we are seeing a bit of a wobble in the longer range charts, what happens later on next week. Not with the synoptic pattern, but more with what sort of air masses are we going to tap into. The slight alteration in the wind direction from some of the runs, especially the GFS, means we might not tap in to very cold air, might more be sort of average air coming in from sort of southern or eastern Europe. So yeah, a little bit of uncertainty appearing for later on in the week. It really is coming exclusively from the GFS and its ensembles. Perhaps it's a bit of a bias within that operational run, within that computer model. But of course, we'll have to take it into account and update you on what those longer term prospects are. Regardless of whether it is the ECMF GM sort of idea of very cold conditions lasting all the way through to next weekend, or whether it's like the GFS which slowly tapers off from around Wednesday, Thursday. Either way, it's still going to be chilly, still going to be below average for the next week to maybe even 10 days starting on Monday. So not escaping the cold air at all, just might moderate it if the GFS is correct. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, to start on the live radar, you can see it is mostly dry at the moment. We are seeing this southerly wind coming in, bringing air all the way from Spain down towards the mid-Atlantic. And what we've got at the moment is high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west, and that's why you can see more precipitation here across especially Portugal, Spain, down towards parts of the Republic of Ireland, southwest England, parts of western France. We've got a big low pressure system sat out in the Atlantic, high pressure to the east, big, warm, southerly wind. Now, we thought a few days ago that we could see more of this enhanced precipitation, but fortunately, it has decreased in intensity over the last few days, so we're not actually looking too much in the way of rain over the next 48 hours or so. There will be some about, like we're seeing at the moment, but generally speaking, it is going to be pretty dry, and we are going to see some cloud, but still plenty of sunshine, and that's allowed those temperatures to get well into the mid-teens widely, maybe even 17 or 18 degrees. There was a slim chance of 20 degrees a couple of days ago, but I do think that is a bit of a long shot. But there is a small chance, perhaps somewhere isolated, could just about nudge to 20 degrees come this afternoon or maybe into Sunday. Now, if you put on the temperatures at the moment, we're recording this around lunchtime, around 1 p.m. Look at that, loads of yellows and even a bit of orange. That's the temperatures into the mid-teens, maybe even 16, 17 or 18 degrees. And you can see what I mean, some slight alterations in a few spots where those oranges get a little bit more intense. That's where we could locally see 20 degrees, perhaps more widely across France here, more oranges appearing here. But yeah, warmest day we've seen in many, many months, and that could be exceeded tomorrow with the temperatures continuing to be in those mid to high teens. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV, you can see not too much going on today in terms of precipitation, a bit in the west and some thicker cloud building in through this evening, but generally nothing too bad. Into Sunday, the skies do actually clear through the morning for much of England, Wales and Scotland. Looks very bright and sunny for much of the day, so it actually looks pretty stunning. We thought there would be more cloud around, but fortunately that has degraded away over the last few runs, and yet generally looks like a really beautiful spring or even early summer day. But look to our north, look across northern Scotland out towards the North Atlantic, cloud and rain appearing, And it's not moving easterly, it's not moving westerly, it's not even moving northerly, it's moving southerly direction, which means a northerly wind is moving in, and you can see into the early hours of Monday, snow starts to fall across the Highlands of Scotland, and that cloud and rain slowly shifts southwards, and the weather front clears across southern England through Tuesday morning, and we're all into this very cold air mass straight from the Arctic. Wintry showers, or at least a wintry mix, within a lot of this precipitation. It's going to be one of these sort of patterns where we can't be sure on the exact precipitation typing, because it all depends on very subtle alterations in air masses, dew points, and intensities of precipitation. But even to low-lying areas, there is a fairly moderate chance of seeing some wintriness, whether it's hail, growlpool, sleet, or even some snowflakes there as we do head through the middle of the week. And it continues to look really quite cold, perhaps even some more persistent precipitation down the east coast. And yeah, it looks very cold all the way through to Wednesday and Thursday, with more enhanced snow showers in many places. Now, if you look at the air mass, you can see it is cold, very cold in spots, but you can see there are a few degree alterations in those upper air temperatures. So that will make a difference to the precipitation typing. And of course, these exact upper air temperatures, whether it's -8 or -6, probably won't be nailed down until near the time, maybe not even nailed down at all. It can be very touch and go in these sorts of scenarios. But you can see a cold air mass between 5 to 8 degrees below average. Average this time of year is around 0 or 1 degree at 850 HPA. So you can see we are well below average, and it is going to feel really chilly out there. The other point to sort of see is the dew points. Dew points down towards freezing or below freezing, maybe slightly above freezing in the far south and east. Again, dew point needs to be around freezing or below freezing to see wintry precipitation. You see, it is very touch and go. Again, that's why the precipitation typing wouldn't take it too literally. Very small alterations will make a big difference. So we'll have to wait and see, but definitely looking cold, if not very cold, into this upcoming week. And we are likely to see quite a lot of precipitation with lots of wintry mixes within that. You can see the temperatures as we head through this afternoon. By the time you're probably watching this, temperatures widely mid-teens, 15, 16, maybe even 17 or 18 in a few spots. And it's not going to be a mild night. It will get chilly overnight, but not too bad. And by tomorrow afternoon, temperatures rising significantly once again, even higher than today, more widely 16 to 18 degrees. And I said there's a local potential for 19 or an isolated 20, but generally speaking, we're kind of 15 to 18 there. As we head into Monday, though, it is going to turn much colder. The far south could still see 15 or 17, but we are seeing increasing cloud. We are going to see some precipitation, so it won't feel as warm as this weekend. Look at the north, though, temperatures down towards the low single digits, and overnight into Tuesday, we're all turning much cooler. And by Tuesday afternoon, 7, 8 degrees top temperature, if that. Many others only 4 or 5. Into Wednesday, a frost developing, temperatures well down towards freezing, where we're not seeing the thicker cloud, but even with that thicker cloud, still 2 or 3 degrees, still very cold. And you see by Wednesday afternoon, look at that, we've got a bit of cloud, got a bit of rain, and a bit of wintry mix, 4, 5 degrees at best. A few spots further westwards where we see a bit more sunshine, maybe 7, 8, an isolated 9 as possible. So yeah, looking really chilly. And then into Thursday morning, frost developing in the west where we've got those clearer skies. So yeah, not looking great at all. Reversing from kind of late spring, early summer type feel this weekend, back towards a winter feel once again. But this is typical sort of early to mid-spring. We normally do see some sort of swings like this, not normally in the space of about 48 hours. It's normally a bit more gradual than this. We don't normally see a very warm spell covered by a very cold spell 2 days later. Doesn't normally play out like that, but that's exactly what we're seeing over the course of the next few days, going from a good 5 to 10 degrees above average, potentially 5 to 10 degrees below average in the space of only a matter of hours. However, if we look at the latest GFS, you can see why there's a little bit of uncertainty that I sort of highlighted at the start of the video with exactly what we'll see later on in the week. You can see the high pressure moving up towards the northeasterly or easterly winds pushing in, high confidence out towards Wednesday or Thursday. But what happens on the GFS here is that day 5, day 6, the high pressure topples slightly. And what that means is we see more of a flat easterly, but it means that wind direction, instead of coming from a northeasterly from Scandinavia with tapping into this very cold Arctic air, it comes from more of a flat east or southeasterly, which starts to draw some slightly milder air in. So what we see here is the upper air temperatures slowly rising towards the end of the week, and we lose the influence of that very cold air. Now, as I said at the start of the video, it's really only the GFS showing this. So I haven't got that much confidence in this pattern evolving, but got to talk about what the GFS is showing, so it is a possibility. The GFS does keep it chilly. The upper air temperatures don't rise much above average through all of next week, and even to the following weeks takes its time. And again, under higher pressure would likely still be colder than average at the surface, for eventually the westerly winds unlock, and right towards the end of the run, we actually see a very mild pattern developing, temperatures up towards 20 degrees here. So GFS very wacky today, from very cold at the start to something moderate when other runs are very cold still, and then going very mild, if not warm, towards the end of its run. So yeah, very interesting from the GFS. The GM has been very consistent, unlike the GFS. GFS has been all over the place with its signalling. The GM has been very consistent with this northeasterly, and you can see it coming next week. Very strong northeasterly. That high pressure doesn't topple anywhere near as quickly, and we maintain that northeasterly through all of next week into the following weekend, where the high pressure eventually topples, keeping us under that cold air, where eventually the westerly winds start to take back over, but it does remain fairly chilly. Now, if you look at the upper air temperatures, very mild this weekend. That northeasterly wind gets unlocked, and instead of like the GFS dragging in a more of an east to southeasterly, we keep in the northeasterly here. It remains very cold all the way through to next weekend, where eventually the air mass starts to warm up a little bit. So yeah, very interesting seeing that deviation from the GFS there. It's not like the other runs have changed. They've been very consistent. It's just the GFS has deviated to a milder pattern there in the longer range, or even medium range. It's not even longer range, it's like later next week. So don't know what's going on there. Hopefully, though, we see a bit more of a consensus in the next few runs. And finally, if we look at the ECMWF, it's very similar to the GM, still very consistent with this northeasterly. It arrives through Monday and Tuesday, and then look at that, those blues developing. It looks really cold into next week. The upper air temperatures well down towards -5, maybe even -10 could flirt with us for a period of time. And it stays very chilly all the way to next weekend, and even into the following week, it stays cold initially, for eventually later on in the week, we do see something milder, but there could be a brief little northerly blast there, a secondary northerly spell, try and drag again the -10 in from the north, but the ridge isn't as strong, so that cold air can't flood in as quickly there as we do head into the latter part of March. So we'll have to wait and see, but nonetheless very interesting. Seeing these runs here could be a really chilly middle third of March if we go by the GM and the ECMWF. Now finally, if we look at the latest GFS, you can see mild at the moment, drops to very chilly, but it's only very cold for 2 or 3 days, and then it turns a bit more moderate. So yeah, GFS really eradicating that prolonged colder pattern that it was showing just last night. So again, very interesting seeing that. It goes back towards average. It's not mild by any means, but it's still, milder than it was yesterday. And then kind of hovers around that all the way into the longer term, and then the GFS goes very warm, like 10 degrees, 12 degrees above average there, come the longer range. So GFS, again, a bit wacky today. Very interesting seeing that. If you look at the 2 meter temperatures, you can see, again, does look cold next week, but there are these milder runs appearing and then slow upwards trend back towards kind of average. But if I just show you the ECMWF, you can see what I mean. ECMWF not sniffing at that average line at all. There's 5 or 6 runs getting there, but majority of the other 50 ensemble members are at -5 for all of next week, even into the following week. So I don't know what the GFS is seeing. The ECMWF is very confident in this pattern. We're showing this in the midnight run, the midday run, same confidence. The ECMWF perhaps was a bit mild last night, but generally speaking, the ensembles were around that -5 line. You could even argue between the run yesterday and this morning, it's actually got more confidence in that colder pattern, which the majority of runs are showing. So yeah, I don't know what is going on there with the GFS. Hopefully it reverses. But yeah, a little bit of a wacky little update there from the GFS. If you look at the 2 metre temperatures, you can see they are very cold next week. 5 or 6 degree maxes we're looking at quite widely, and then down towards freezing overnight. Slow upwards trend there into the longer term. And I just want to show you, just to back up what we're saying about the GFS. If we look at the GM ensembles, don't normally look at this because they've only got 20 ensemble members, so it's not normally too insightful. But even here, they're all down at -5 with a few stragglers elsewhere. So yeah, very interesting there from the GFS, being a little bit off kilter today, but hopefully it does reverse back to what the other runs have been very consistent with this evening and for later runs. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Do enjoy this weekend as well. We're going to have a wintry feel for all of next week and potentially even a little bit longer. So I do enjoy the warmth we've got at the moment. Again, we will see more of it as we head closer towards summer, but for the time being, it is an isolated few days, with it turning back to something we'd be more inclined to seeing in January or February into this upcoming working week. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.